Hey, good evening, Central Christian Center family. Here we're on another Wednesday evening, and we're doing our Facebook Live. Oftentimes, we'll have some teaching and someone giving some insight into scriptures and encouragement. But hey, this week is Father's Day week, and I am so excited that I got some fathers to sit down with, and we're going to do a little something different this week. That we're just going to welcome y'all into a conversation as we talk about being fathers. Hey, at the end of this week, Sunday, the beginning of next week, we know it's Father's Day, and we want to celebrate fathers. And I think it's just so important that I have a big heart for fathers, and I love talking about how God is a father to us. But I also like the conversation that I've had one-on-one or with two or three different people when we talk about Father's Day. So this evening, I got some of my good friends, brothers in Christ with us, and we're going to talk about being a father. I have Jake Jones to the left of me, and I got Scott Presley, myself, and Doug Wilkerson, and we have different age groups here. Some of us been fathers longer than others. Some of us, and I'll let them talk about their families and this and that. And some of us, we have adopted children literally into our family. And so we're not only fathering our biological children we have, but we fathering children that we've adopted that are ours. And so with that said, how's everybody doing?
Good.
So Jake, I know you're the one of the unique ones in this group, because as we talk about fathers, tell us a little bit about your family, just briefly, because you have a unique situation.
I do have a unique situation in that. Well, I guess Doug has only got girls,
yes.
but I've got more girls, no, I've got three awesome girls, and Reagan, Riley, and Ella. And I'll tell you, I wanted a boy, and actually things were a little bit different with Ella during Lori's pregnancy. So we thought maybe Ella was going to be a boy. Turns out she's our tomboy, playing all the sports and stuff. But anyway, I love being the father of girls. It's different, but I love it.
Yeah, and you alluded to, you're not the only one here that a father to only girls. We have another one here who's a father to, hey, how many girls?
Well, I only have one daughter.
Yeah, one daughter. I knew that.
I have one daughter that's alive. I have a child that is in heaven, but
yes.
Other than that, and we're not quite sure what that child is. But anyway, yes, we have a girl, and Whitney McNally now, and so she's 34 years old. So that's not very much. That's a little. You're a little older than that, aren't you? You're quite a bit older than that, aren't you? You're 40 something. 40.
Yeah, 40 something.
What Doug is saying is he is the oldest father here, and so his child is close to our age.
Yeah, but the rest of the story is I was almost 35 before we had Whitney. So that kind of now you add those numbers up and you kind of get an idea what my age is there.
Yes.
Yes, and there's a whole big long story behind that, but that's not about Father's Day. But anyway, now I have two special grandchildren, and they are seriously special.
Yes, yes,
and very smart, very talented, and very dynamic, and very energetic, and I love them a lot, and more than you can imagine. Although, I might as well say here, Whitney was an easy child. Whitney was an easy child.
Well, you probably could blame
Max and Quincy are going to be, or they are a little bit a different story.
Did you know how easy Whitney was before Quincy and Max?
You don't know what you don't know. Okay.
No further reference.
So Whitney, if you are listening to this, watching this, your father's very thankful that you was an easy child, but maybe your offspring now may be a good challenge for him But I know I've seen Doug interact with them, and man, they got the greatest pawpaw, and he loves them, and my goodness.
And I'm wearing my hat that my grandson gave me, Max.
That is perfect.
Perfect.
And so now we got Scott. Scott, you're the one that I kind of described a little bit in a very, I think, awesome situation, unique situation. Tell us a little bit about your family.
My wife and I we have a blended family. We have 3 biological children that are ours, and then we have 3 that we've adopted. We also do foster care still. We're very active in that as well. And so we have the opportunity to love on not only our children, but others as well. And it's a blessing to us. I mean, it's something we really love and really enjoy, and it's something that we're just going to continue to do as long as God allows us to do it. So
yeah, and I've seen you talk about your children, especially also the ones you adopted. And I'm telling you, man, not that we don't love being a father, but man, you love and you're passionate about being a father, because it's one thing having your own, it's another thing saying, hey, we want to get more, we want to adopt more, we want to bring them. Absolutely. And not only that, fostering also others and give them that opportunity to know the love of God, through you and Jimmy. And I think that's just so awesome. I think that's so awesome. So me, I have 2 children. I have a boy who is now graduated college, and I have a girl who just graduated high school. And so I wanted to have more children, but my wife said that 2 was enough. And so now I'm fine with her 2 being enough. And unlike Jake and Scott, I'm at that other end, almost close to like Doug is, that I'm about to be without children in my home for different periods of time. Not all the time. I didn't say all the time.
He's got lots of children.
Hey, I didn't say all the time. He's shaking his head. I said different periods of time. I know they're never leaving.
It's pretty much all the time.
It's pretty much all the time.
And if they were closer, they'd be more. But hey, it's good. It's good.
So I have some questions for us just to have some conversation and then throw out there. Like I said, it's a little different tonight, but we're excited about it. My first question, and whoever wants to jump out and start answering these questions, you can, would be what was going through your mind, the first night, or not even the first night, but when you first became a father? Because I remember in my mind, I remember having Hosea the first time, and we were in the hospital, I think 2 nights, 1 full day, so a day and a half. And I remember like those first 2 nights, I was like, man, this is great. They bring him in the room. We get to see him for a little bit. And then he goes and he's sleeping all through the night. That was my mindset, because of course he was in the place they keep him, the hospital, when you stay overnight. And I remember bringing him home the first night, and I was like, you don't sleep all night long as I thought you did. and I remember just wanting to get some rest and some sleep. But the biggest thing I realized is the next morning after being at home for overnight, I had to realize, like, wow, this is mine. This one is not going back to the hospital. Like it hit me. And so that's one of my thoughts and earliest memories of being a father, and like, wow. So what are some of y'all earliest memories about being a father and those first few nights at home or whatnot?
For me, I think my earliest memory is when the doctors first laid him in my arms. I remember just being overjoyed and just so much love, and just not realizing how much love you could have for a child, or for anything really, for that matter. And I just remember just weeping and just thanking God for this child, and just the amount of love that I had for him. And then I remember, the first night home, when we did get home, I just remember holding him and thinking, I'm going to break this thing. I mean, what do I do now? And I didn't know what to do. I mean, it's all new to me. But I remember just thinking I was going to break him, and just feeling overwhelmed. But I remember we made it. We
made it.
We made it.
We made it out.
Man, I'll tell you, without getting too graphic, so when Reagan was born, our first, she's going to be 15 at the end of the month, or in the end of July. But when she was born, our doctor here in town said, when she was actually coming out, he asked me, I was standing right there, and he asked me, do you want to bring her into this world? And actually her little bitty tiny hand wrapped around my finger.
Wow.
I'm telling you what, he knew what he was doing, because that was I mean, I'm about to tear up right now
Wow.
talking about it. It was just the
Wow.
most amazing experience, that I literally was the first one to greet, Reagan into this world. And man, I'll just tell you, I was overwhelmed with emotion, and it was pretty amazing.
Right now, I guarantee you, people are watching, women are watching. They're like, "Oh my goodness!" When I'm listening to what you're saying, I'm thinking, Jake, you had some great courage. Because I'm going to be honest with you, I didn't want to go nowhere. I stayed up by my wife. I said, "Hey, Doc, you bring them up. I don't want nothing to do with taking them out."
It was
that
special of a moment.
I get it.
I'm willing to take a chance.
Oh my God, Reagan, you hear that? He was the first man you ever saw. That is awesome. That is awesome.
That's a good story.
That is.
And I'm glad you're going after him, or you gonna share after him, because I can't top that story. I'm glad my husband's like.
Well, you wanted to know what I was thinking, but
or feeling.
Well, we were scheduled to have the baby, so we went in at like 7:00 in the morning, and it was we had the baby at about 10:30 that night.
Wow!
So there we had a long, hard time, and again, Linda and I both were 34, 35 years old, and so we weren't able to have any children, and they said we would not have any children. In fact, the doctor called to say Linda was pregnant, said the problem still exists, but you're pregnant anyway. And so this Whitney was a real miracle. And when she came, we had to do C-section, and so she came, and by the time we got back to the room, it was after midnight. So this sleeping all night thing was not in. There was very little sleep that night, and really it was just you just had to stay with everything to manage what was going on. But the next morning, while I was driving home, because my wife wanted me to go take care of the pets. Okay, because we had the pets at the house, go take care of the pets. And so as I remember driving home, and the sun was rising, and I was driving towards Carl Junction, and I remember on Murphy Boulevard there, kind of so about where my brother's house is, but I don't know how before Turkey Creek, I guess that is. Anyway, I just remember getting extremely overwhelmed emotionally.
Yeah.
Just because I don't think I'd really had chance to process until then, and that would really happened, and because like I said, it was a miracle, and it's something that Linda and I had been working on for a long time, and gone through a lot of emotional issues. I would even say trauma. Yeah. And so anyway, it was happening. So it was a very emotional time, driving home, and I remember that. So, but as we were talking about beforehand, now that evening, because they kicked us out of the hospital that evening, there was a quick turnaround time. When we were done, they said you're out of here.
See you later.
And so we got home that night at about 10:30. Okay, again about the time she was born, and again we got her home, and I remember standing in the bedroom, looking at the baby in the Whitney in the bassinet, saying, what do we do now? We went to all these classes how to get her here, but they didn't tell us what to do after we got her. Come to find out later that because it was on a weekend holiday, Memorial holiday, in normal settings, they would have given some other follow-up classes then, but they kicked us out too early, and it was on a holiday. So anyway, that was our story.
Yeah, he just kicked him out. What we do next?
You're on your own.
I think that is a common, probably comment from men across the nation when they first have their child. What do we do next? He was excited, we emotional, but I'm like, what do we do with this thing, this precious thing? And I like what Scott said. I don't want to break him. And I remember one night, and Scott saying that when he said that, I remember one night, me and Wendy, slept in the bed, and Hosea slept in between us. And one night, Wendy woke up, and Wendy was like, "Where's Hosea?" And I'm like, I don't know. And I look on beside of me, the right side of me. Now, I'm not trying to be spiritual at all. I'm just telling a real story. And then I look down and I see Hosea, and he's down laying on a Bible. So I don't know if I woke up and put him on there. He rolled over on there. Needless to say, my wife did not entrust Hosea sleeping beside me anymore. But we made it through that. I was just placing him on the word, or I don't know what I was doing. And so, and I'm listening to us, and I hear in your voice. I can hear in your voice this next question, but I like for y'all to give just a word to it. I hear the joy in your voice, each and every one of us, about being a father. So what have you enjoyed the most? What has been your most enjoyment of being a father when you think about it? And I know it's probably so many things you're trying to grab a hold of too, and that's a loaded question. What is the most? Because once you say the most, there's going to be another memory. But what would you say is you've enjoyed the most being a father?
Well, with having 3 girls, I feel blessed that they're all 3, slightly different. They all have their own person. Of course, they have some of the same interests, and it annoys the oldest one that the youngest one wants to do what the oldest one wants to do, and all that. Of course, that's part of it. But Ella is just so joyful all the time. Like, she's just happy. Like, we have this picture on the wall of the 3, but Ella's got this just interesting smile that, like, seriously, if I'm feeling down or whatever, I just look at that picture and just seeing Ella's face, like, that's what I pray for her all the time, is just that she would keep that joy, because it's genuine.
Yeah.
The other girls they're annoyed by it, but for her, it's just genuine. And Riley has always, from when she was born, she was like my little buddy. She was always by my side, and I really like that. And it's funny because Reagan's not very, she doesn't really like to hug and cuddle and all that stuff. But Riley, she will snuggle up like a ball in your arms. And then Reagan, she's just, so witty and smart and stuff. They're all just uniquely different. And it's just such a joy to see them, like, develop each one of their own little personalities. It's pretty fun.
So you're enjoying seeing all that development, the personalities. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
I think for me too, I think it's just watching them grow and become their own personality, their own person. I mean, and that goes for the foster kids as well that we have in our home, and even the ones that we've adopted. I mean, just seeing what they've come from and who they were when they first came into our home and who they are to this day. I mean, it's amazing just to watch that growth. Yeah. That's something that's very, very rewarding for us and something we really enjoy.
Yeah, because those little babies that we brought home, them things grow, don't they? Those things grow up and develop their personalities, and you like it when they first started talking, and then you're like, I'm tired of you talking. You're taking on your personalities, and then we give them personality traits. That's from your mama. That's from your dad. We do all that stuff, but that's awesome. That's awesome.
So you tell us your thing that you enjoyed most.
And I don't want to sound like a broken record, but really them growing up and really, I guess for me, I'm a person, I joke around a lot. I like joking around. I goof off, and I'm pretty sure at times I goof off too much. I used to get in trouble at school from goofing off. And so I love, like, we just went out to Yellowstone. I love going on trips and love just getting around and goofing off. And then us talking and saying things, and they're laughing and we're laughing, and really the close-knit family that we have. have, and it's just awesome. And with different ones, like what Jake was saying, me having a boy and a girl, I have different experiences with each of them, and so what gives me joy and pleasure is just really them talking about the experiences that they've had with me, and especially at Father's Day when they write down the fathers, on their card, what I mean to them. That just gives me great joy, because I just enjoy seeing them grow and being around them and laughing with them. Man, we have some fun together. Now it gets on Wendy's nerves at times, but that's one of the things I think I most enjoy. Is just seeing them and seeing them develop and become just human beings. Not that they wasn't, but their own individual person. And have their likes and dislikes, and being able to talk with them and see them grow.
I don't know that I have one specific.
I knew you wouldn't.
It's because I was intentional that I wanted to be involved in Whitney's life as much as I could be in every capacity, and she allowed me to grow because of her interests. I helped at the school. We did a science class. We did different classes. We went on different trips with the school. She liked drama, so I developed a drama group here at the church that we did for I don't know how many years. You were involved in that, Jake, and I never had drama when I was a kid. I didn't want to have anything to do with that type of stuff. So I just enjoyed being with her and learning, and I just wanted to be involved. I wanted it. Well, I realized how precious that time was, and I wanted to take advantage of it as best I could, from very little. I had people telling me about terrible twos. There was nothing terrible about it. It was all good. There's some things better than others, but I remember, I was thinking a while ago when you were talking, it came to my mind that I remember taking Whitney to college and getting her books and buying whatever she needed and trying to find where her classes were, and I don't know, something about that was very, very interesting and enjoyable, even though most of her schooling was online because she really didn't want to go to campus, and so she had to go on some, but anyway, everything was enjoyable, and so that's all I got to say about that.
Yeah, I think one important thing that you said earlier that I think is so important for even future fathers or us to understand that having children can change your taste in life when you want to be involved. I know you just said, I didn't want nothing to do with drama, but because she enjoyed drama, it changed my taste for something. Yeah. It caused me to make a change that was not was against my norm, but it was to benefit me being with her. Because I believe as fathers, we all want to be engaged, and we make changes in order to be engaged with our children because that's what we know is going to be beneficial not only to them, but it's beneficial to us and our family. I think that's just so important. For people to understand.
I need to get myself out of trouble here because Linda was just as active and maybe even more so than I was, and we still are. I mean, whether it's working in VBS right now, preparing stuff, they start working in January on stuff, and so anyway, we're still doing that. It hasn't ever changed. And you think you're going to get the house to yourself.
I know I'm not. I'm just dreaming. I'm dreaming out loud when I say those things.
Yeah. We don't know what we don't know. But the thing of it is, it's good. And I prefer it being the way that it is, I feel really sad for folks that are not able to have contact with their children or their grandchildren.
Yes.
They move to the other end of the country, and they see them once or twice a year, twice if they're lucky, and that would be. I remember the first. You haven't asked this question. I don't even know if you will, but I remember the first time that Whitney wasn't there for Thanksgiving. She and Ben had to go they went to Wichita with the family, which I understood, but I didn't realize how hard it was going to be, her being gone. And I was depressed that day.
So you're giving me a preview of where I'm going, because I'm about to experience
it's tough.
I'm just telling you, it's hard. And there's been the first one's the hardest.
Yep.
But because it's not really expected, it kind of slips up on you. So anyway,
what I'm hoping people are hearing, because I said this before we went live on cameras, is I hope people are hearing the emotions, not just the thoughts, the emotions from fathers, because I think sometimes people think that the men or fathers don't have the same emotions as the mothers do. And I truly believe that we have the same similar emotions. We just express them differently.
Absolutely.
We process it differently, but we care just as deep. We hurt just as deep. We can go through times where we're depressed because they're not there, or something goes wrong that we can't change or we can't fix, because as a father we love to fix things, and I know that's one of the difficulties, not being able to fix things in your child. And I'm saying that, so that leads me to this next question. We've talked about first time, bring them home, the joys, but what's been some of your greatest challenges as a father? I think about, as a father, some of my challenges, and I'm not wanting us to get into detail of something I blew real bad and this is my issue, but I know as a father, I think about the challenges that I've had maintaining that, wanting to have that intimacy, or learning, because all of us did attest to that when they came home, there was no manual on what to do next. And so what's been some of your greatest challenges, or some challenges of being a father, that you wouldn't mind sharing?
I think for us, not to go into any details like you said, but we have such a diverse blended family that everybody's so different, and none of our children are the same. None of them have the same personalities or nothing. So it's been very challenging. You raise one way, and you try to mimic that with the next one, and it totally blows up in your face and doesn't work. Sit up and then try something different. And like Doug said, there's no book. They don't tell you what to do when you bring them home. So you assume it's going to be the same, but it's, each one of our children have been different, and I wouldn't change anything, but it's been very challenging.
And everybody can tell you how to do it.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But the fact of it is, they don't know what they're talking about until they're in the middle of the situation.
Absolutely.
I don't mean to be so harsh, but everybody has. They think they got the. Hey, listen. I thought I knew. I was 35. I'd studied psychology and sociology and different things, and I thought I had a pretty good handle on it. And I realized I didn't even know what I was talking about.
Because you had a great child. You said that, but I think in studying sociology and psychology, I don't think in those books they had Whitney. This is how you raise a Whitney, or raise a Jose, or raise a Reagan, or whomever.
Our first two kids were what I consider pretty easy. My wife, she's a superhero. She's the one that dealt with most of the stuff while I was at work. But anyway, they were kind of easy. They didn't cry much. They slept all through the night. They were kind of just model children. And then our third one came along. And, the little child plugs that you put in the walls to protect the sockets, we catch her pulling one out with her teeth. So she got it out. And she had a little spoon. She would jimmy the child gate open with this little plastic spoon. She would dig in her whole toy box to find that spoon. So she was definitely a different child. So, but yeah, it's been challenging.
Yeah, I'm glad that you asked. It's funny because you said, when we were talking about what we liked about being you said, what do you like about being a father? But this time you didn't say, what do you dislike about being a father? Because, and it used the word troubles or challenges. And I think that's, the best way to look at it, is that everything is just a part of the process. But I'll tell you, I was afraid to break the baby, coming home from the hospital, but now I'm afraid of, breaking the emotions and the heart and all that stuff. And then with, I have beautiful little girls, and the boys are going to like them. And
yeah, because you like a beautiful girl.
Yeah.
Or someone's little girl.
Yeah. I'm just telling you, I'm just terrified. And
challenges change daily.
It is. And it frustrates them. And, Lori's actually not even obviously not as scared about that. I don't know if she's like, I'm okay, but it just doesn't, I don't mean to throw her under the bus, but it just seems like I'm the one worrying for everybody. And it's just, it's just that part of it is pretty difficult, just trying to manage those emotions without putting too much pressure on them. And I know I go too far sometimes.
Yeah, we all do.
Obviously they are all liking boys and stuff like that. And I give them a hard time. I'm like, you're locked in your room for the next 8 years, and Goldilocks or whatever it is. But anyway, it's a genuine fear. Like, that's just a hard one.
I think the reason being, and I'm just guessing this, I think the reason being, when you talk about Lori and women, I think because they're probably thinking, oh my goodness, I can't wait. She's going to be so beautiful on their wedding day, because they dream of that wedding day. And dads are like, we don't want no wedding day. We don't want no wedding day. But underneath that, we do hope that they get married to a wonderful man and stuff. But I get, that's why sometimes when I look at you and another friend Porter, I'm like, man, God, thank you for giving me one boy and one girl. Because man, if I had all girls, I would be feeling like, you call in the house and someone with a deeper voice than me calling the house for my daughter, we got problems.
Well, the challenge that I remember the best was I kind of have this issue that I like to control things. Anybody else? I don't know.
I don't know if I have.
And so and I raised Whitney with trying to help her to gain responsibility, and our main topic was when something went wrong, I always ask her, what did she learn from it, instead of getting on to her, and says, well, what did you learn? Let's learn from whatever this is. And that seemed to really help her to engage in life. And so here we are. Ben came into our life, and in fact, Ben was in our life. We got a picture of Ben and Whitney when he was 5 and she was 3 at a, we call them cell group meetings. Yeah. We call them life group meetings now, but his mom and dad were a part of our group way back then when they were little, and then they moved away, and then they came back, and he looked Whitney up, and so kind of went from there. But what I told her that she had to get her college degree, and that she needed to have $10,000 in the bank before she would be able to get married. Too tough?
Hey, you threw out. Jake is thinking, I can make this team.
10 grand, you say?
Wait.
10, yes, 10. Well, my brother Mike, and I got the idea from him because he told his daughter she had to have $5,000 in the bank, and I doubled it.
You can triple it.
Jake's like, I got a spiritual insight. I don't know if it's spiritual, but you can use it. It's good. It worked.
And she did. She had $10,000 in the bank before she got married. But and I haven't got to the problem yet. But I'll do that. But I wanted to say this. I was thinking about this today after I read that question. and that I thought, I really messed up. I should have said that who she was marrying had to have at least $10,000 or $20,000 in the bank. So anyway, I just was trying to help her to learn about money, and hey, she had a rental house before she was 21, so she owned a rental house, and so she's got a good head on her shoulders, and she's very smart like her mother. So
like her mother.
That's the truth. I married Linda for her brains, and so her brains and her laugh. Hopefully that got me some points.
Yeah, you get all kinds of points. I'm not saying that, Wendy. I know I stayed with you because your brain and everything else.
But my biggest challenge was she got out of high school early. She started college early. She went to summer school at college. She pushed it all the way through. And I remember one day, and she'd already got the $10,000 in the bank. She bought some CDs, and I told her she could do with it whatever she wanted as long as she had it. And so she called me one. It was after summer school, and she says I'd promised her that if she graduated college, I wanted a little more leverage. That she wanted to have her eyes fixed, LASIK surgery, as that's 10 years ago, 7, 8 years ago, whatever it was, and it was kind of big, and she wanted it. I said, "You graduate, I'll do that for you." So she called me. She says, "Dad, I got my grades. I passed. I graduated. I need to make an appointment to get my eyes done so that I can be ready, and so I can get the pictures for our wedding, so we can get married." Whoa. So all that happened in about 30 seconds, and I wasn't really prepared for it. I'd been pushing that off, and evidently I was thinking it was never going to happen, but I knew it was going to happen, but I didn't think it was all going to happen in 30 seconds. And I thought I was going to die. It was hard. It was probably one of my hardest hits right there, because I realized all of a sudden, and I didn't really know that I was controlling her, but I realized I am losing control. I didn't know I was all that tied into it, and that's really when I had to reevaluate my spiritual relationship and trust and faith in God. And it took a while. And the bottom line is, I finally said, "Father, she's your daughter. Always been your daughter, even though I forgot some of that sometimes, but I'm gonna trust you no matter what." And that was hard. And so there you go. That may be a low.
That's fine. You got through that challenge, and now you got two beautiful.
Yes, that's true. And they are amazing. And it was pretty interesting. Linda was always emphatic that we would not move away from here. That she wasn't going to leave her mom. We were not going to be here. I had the belief, I was taught that in the ministry you change churches every 18 months to 2 years, and so I was under that self-induced pressure, and finally the Holy Spirit told me, "Just stop it. You take care of you, and I'll take care of Linda. When it happens, if it happens, I'll take care of it." And I thought, man, I know I've kind of deviated here, but God, if that's easy. That's a great deal. I'm taking it. And so I took it, and 45 plus years later, I'm still here.
Yeah.
And I heard Whitney say something similar along the same lines that she's not going anyplace either, and that was nice to hear. She just said that a couple of weeks ago. I never heard her say it, but so anyway, that's some of my story.
Yeah. Hey, did you talk about your challenge?
I did.
Oh, you did. It's with me, huh? I'm trying to get.
It's your turn.
I would say really one of my greatest challenges is similar to Doug. Is just the control thing. I think wanting, and more on the lines, wanting to fix things. I alluded to it a while ago that we like to fix things. And I remember when Zipporah was born, she had some difficulty with breathing and oxygen levels and different things like that. And we got through that when she was born. But later on, she developed, asthma and different things like that. And I remember Wendy went away for a day for work. And I had to take her to see the doctor because she was having one of her flare up of asthma, and we didn't know it then that it was asthma to the severity it was. And I remember taking, my baby girl. This is my baby girl. I remember taking her to the doctor and the physician. And he's checking her out and everything like that. And we get there and it's fine. And what just tore my heart out the most is they came in the room and they said, we think we need to admit her into the hospital. And Wendy's not there. And I don't know, for whatever reason, it was like, I can't fix this. No. And it's the emotions and thinking, man, this is serious. She has to go to the hospital and I got to deal with this. And my wife is not here. And, I was just like, what am I going to do? What's going to happen? And I remember I went to the hospital. I called Wendy real quick, and not gonna lie, they were at a training, and she left halfway through because hopefully this will never get in trouble from work. But I remember calling her, and I just told her, "You have to come home now. I need you." You would think I was going to say, "Your daughter needs you." It was more like, "I need you." And I remember that, but and she still has battled asthma, but I had to get through that place of really trusting that God's going to take care of this, and I'm not alone. But at that time, I felt alone. No, not saying that my wife had abandoned me. She was where she needed to be. But you're there, and you're hearing the news that I wasn't thinking she was going to get admitted. And so I had to realize that, no, you're not alone. And you got, God's going to help you take care of this and wherever you got to go through. And realizing that as a father and in the different seasons that you realize that, my son has had times where he's got injured during football. A couple of times I've had a couple of different surgeries, and all that still was those things where as a father, you see the issue and the problem, but you can't fix it. And you got to just trust that things are going to get taken care of, and you're going to do the best you can, and you're not alone. And so that has been a challenge. That was a challenge for me, and to get to that place and realize, hey, I can't control the whole scenario, nor can I fix everything when I'm sick or when I break something. But you can trust and say, hey, I'm here with my wife. We're here together. We're here above all with the Lord, and we're just going to go through the process. And, my hopes as a person, as a believer, I'm like, Lord, I want to pray and this person get healed, the bone gets put back in place, and God does that. But there's times where God's like, no, you're going to go through the process of this, and it's going to be okay. And it's like, as a man, it's like you feel so vulnerable and so not able to do anything.
I remember something like that with when Whitney was just a baby. Now, nowadays, you have pharmacies and stuff open 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
35 years ago, that wasn't the case. And we needed some medicine, and it was late at night. And, I remember that. It was so, you felt so helpless.
Yes. Oh, man, yes.
Well, I hope that what people are getting from watching this, it doesn't matter if they're fathers or not. I've heard you both, kind of say the same thing, is that, when you get to a place to where you realize they're God's babies too, and there's God's babies more, he's going to do more to take care of them than what we can even do. Absolutely. Like he can way more than we can do. And so that's something that's difficult, but it's good to hear, that coming, not, just from experience, but not from just a personal experience, but also with life experience. And so that's just huge for me to hear it, especially since I stated earlier, how fearful I was, that,
Yeah.
God's gonna provide, God's gonna protect, and I just need to be able to say they're yours before they're mine.
Yeah.
So,
and I think one of the joys that you experience, I know we already did the joys, is as you're talking, is as your kids get older, and I'm pretty sure we will all experience it, and Doug's experience it, is being able to walk them through their difficulties. Like my son, he just graduated college, but there was a time where he called me and asked me about a relationship he was in and how to help him navigate, and I just felt so honored and privileged, like my son.
wow.
He's gonna call me and ask me about what to do in this situation, and that's a joy too. That so touched my heart to say, man, he sees value in me and the information I can give. Not that I ever did anything for him not to, but it just says, wow, you're willing to talk to me about that.
That's cool.
And I listen to all these different things and what we've shared so far. I just got a couple more questions as we wrap this time up. I know we can go on and on, but it seems like we've learned. I know we talked about all these different experiences, and I know in the midst of all these experiences, you can't go through some of the things that we're talking about and being a father or a parent and not learn things. It's just like it's what happens, and it's to your benefit that you learn some things, and sometimes we learn how strong we are. Sometimes we learn parenting. Just to be honest with you, there's times I've learned parenting through mistakes I've made. That I learned the right way to do something because I did the wrong thing, and the wrong thing wasn't intentional. But there's times that's how you learn as a parent, because there ain't no manual. You're like, I wish I got it right every single time. No, there's times where I didn't get it right, but I learned. So what could you say is some of the things what you've learned the most? Or something that you've learned being a father that you didn't know previously, that maybe if someone's listening, it will help. And, you don't just, if it's just patience, if it's just whatever, but what have you learned, you personally, with being a father? Look,
I want to jump in here real quick, and I don't know, because this came to my mind when you were saying something a while ago, Jake, and one of the things that, again, as far as trusting, I remember praying when Whitney was little, and this may sound a little arrogant, but this was my prayer, and I said, God, I know some stuff, but I know that there's way more stuff that I don't know, and God, I need you to take care of her in the places I mess her up.
Yes.
And I prayed that a lot, and that actually gave me some comfort.
That's awesome. Who's next? Who's going to jump in there? He talks about what he's learned, what he prayed actually.
Well, I just think that's just key. I need to remember that more as they get older, because, again, going back to when we joked about breaking the baby, I remember like going in with all three of them, going into, especially with the later two, because they spent more time outside of our room. Reagan pretty much was beside our bed the whole time. And matter of fact, when she started walking, she like slept with us most of the time. But the other two did pretty good on their own. But I remember any time that they were asleep in their bassinet, like I would walk in the room and they would just be so peaceful and they wouldn't be breathing very hard. And I started breathing hard. My heart started racing, and I would just put my hand on their chest because there was no other way to know that their heart was still beating, that they were, and I'd heard horror stories about, cribs and different things like that. And that was a real, kind of fear too. And so I would just put my hand on their chest and be like, okay, I feel it. We're good. And so, I can't do that now. But if I can say, if I could put my hand on their shoulder or their back and say, you know what, this stinks right now, and we don't know what's going on, but he's got it under control, and we're good. You're good. And I'm sorry I messed this up for you, but
that assurance.
But you're good. He's got you. He's got you.
Scott, what's something that you've learned? Because I know you have a blended family, adopting, fostering. I would like to hear just even something that you probably would be helpful for someone that you learned.
I've learned to trust in God a lot now, a lot more than I used to. And I'm still learning to this day, with children we bring into our home, and even with the children we have. And one thing, my wife always made it look easy. And she did. She was like a well-oiled machine. Anytime and still to this day, she just knows what to do and when to do it. And I remember the first time she left me alone with the kids, when Kaylee was, I don't know, she was just a few weeks old, and she had whooping cough when she was born. Or born with it. I don't know if she was born with it, but she had it. And I remember she stopped breathing, and I totally lost it. And I told my wife, "You can't leave me alone with her anymore. I can't do this. I don't know what to do. I'm gonna break her. I don't know what to do." But I'm learning to. It's tough, but I'm learning.
And I shouldn't say. I could easily say instead of what we learned, what has our kids taught us? So, I can say one of the things I've learned from parenting and Doug, he talked about his prayer, and I remember praying, Father, help me to be the father that I never saw. Because one thing I learned when I had children, I was like, I'm not going to leave my kids like my dad left me. And so on the front end, that sounds like that is a real good goal to go after. But as I was going after that, I remember the Lord corrected me and said, if that's your goal, that goal is very a weak goal, because you're still trying to fight something that you can't do nothing about. That I thought my goal was to say, look,
really good point.
Look, Dad, I'm not like you. And he began to show me, no, there's so much more than just staying. That I was trying to fight something that I never could win, because I had to radically accept that my dad wasn't there, and I'm okay, and God has healed me through that. And so he had to really realign my mind to say, no, I got to have a better goal, and that is to be there for them emotionally, mentally, physically. And it's not trying to prove that you're better than your dad, because that's not what fatherhood was. But that was initially my goal that I thought, because just saying, I knew what it had done to me. And so I had to realign my heart with the help of the Lord, corrected me and saying that, hey, you got to be a father to them. You got to be close to them. And I remember praying, Father, help me be the father that I never saw. Show me how, and being able to recognize when God brought men in my life to tell me some things about fathering, reading books, taking these opportunities. But I remember that so vividly, and realizing, I thank God that he corrected me. Thank God that he got a hold of my attention and say, Chris, you got to have something better than that. You got to be deeper than that.
Yeah. And I know with Whitney, that God brought surrogate grandparents to her. Even though my parents were alive, the dynamics of grandparenting wasn't there because of the way it was. And I remember one of her birthdays, she was just sitting on the couch crying because my mom didn't show up, didn't do what she said she was going to do. Mm-hmm. And so I sat down and we talked and cried together and helped her understand God had put other people in her life, and I named them, that was there to fill that place. And I've seen that happen time and time again, not only with my in my life and in Whitney's life, but in other people's life. And that's the this is kind of a spiritual term, but body ministry, and so and that is, and you can't make that happen, but you have to be willing to allow it to happen.
Yes. I think that's just so great. I think as we wrap this up, one of the things I think that right now for me in my life, one of the great rewards that I see with being a father is really seeing Jose and Zipporah walk with the Lord and really have a desire to go after not just the things of God, but really direct their heart and their life to the profession they want to be in, and develop into those who are not just walking with the Lord because they're in their mom and dad's house, but they have a passion and desire for the Lord, and seeing them grow and seeing them learn has been a great reward, and probably the greatest of the reward I have being a father in a nutshell is them wanting to still be around. So for me, them wanting to still be around, because for me it's like, wow, y'all still want to be around Dad, and y'all still want to be close. So what would y'all say real quickly would be one of your great rewards of being a father?
Gonna go, or you want me to?
Just jump in there.
Like you said, I mean, just having them want to come back even after they move out, come back and just spend time with you. I mean, that's very rewarding. But I'd like to share a little story if I could.
Yes, go ahead.
Our youngest daughter that we have, when she first came into our home, I remember she was just scared to death, and she would just sit in our floor and just shake, just tremble her whole body. And she'd cover her head with a blanket. And that's how she would sit. You'd talk to her, she wouldn't respond, nothing. She didn't want anything to do with anybody. And just watching go from that to blossom into this happy, just loving child that she is today, with this infectious smile that she has on her face all the time. To me, that's rewarding. And, I don't mean to just her, but I mean, it's all our kids, but that's just one example that I have. But it was just so rewarding just to see that growth in her, and just her life just open up and blossom like that. That's very rewarding and such a blessing for us.
That is awesome. My wife and I, we love to watch you and Jimmy interact with your foster kids and your kids. Like, you can't tell who's which.
That's awesome,
because you guys do that well. So very, very appreciative of that.
We definitely appreciate hearing it.
Absolutely.
What was the question again?
What's your greatest reward as a father?
Do you have something?
Well, I would just say that my greatest reward is just to see that I can already tell that each one of my girls are just, this is not a self-deprecating thing, but I could just see that they're better. Like, I could just see different things about them that, like, they're not going to have to worry about this right here. Part of it, I'm going to get to help them with some of the things that I have, fall short on. But the greatest reward is to just say, you know what, like, I'm rooting you on now. Like let's see what you can do.
Yes.
And so that's going to be a fun experience.
Yeah.
Again, I've enjoyed all of Whitney's life, and we going, and we haven't done very many vacations, but I've enjoyed the ones that we've done, but I was just thinking about all the different experiences that she has taken on, and she's very capable and able to do a lot of different things. Plus, I enjoyed this. She came to me several years ago. I don't know how many years ago, because I have a business other than being on staff at the church here. And she came to me and says, "Dad, you got too much stuff in your head. You need to hire me to work for you." I said, "Okay." So she's been running the business.
Clever.
I got the good end of the deal there.
Yes,
for sure. And so, but and just recently she became the youth pastor here, Children's Church, and not youth, but Children's Church pastor, and here at the church, which is she let me know that we're both staff members now, and so
That's awesome.
and that's pretty neat, you know. You know, and there's and Linda and I had so much life before Whitney came, because you know I did the buses, I did the children's church, I did camps, you know, I did. You know, spoke in places and did all kinds of different stuff before she ever showed up. But but we didn't stop when she showed up. We did outreaches in parks and we did a band thing. You remember that out down on Memorial Hall parking lot and other places, and you know we did all kinds of different things. And but it's just been good to have her. She's learned and participated, and now she's. I mean, she talks to me, but primarily a lot of it she's able to kind of do it on her own. And if she wants my help, you know, she can ask me. And one thing I really do try. I try to I don't give advice, even if you talk to me. I don't normally give advice. Right.
We know.
I ask questions and help you find it, but I don't interrupt and tell people what they should do. And I've not done that with Whitney in any area. But if she wants some direction, we can talk about it. And so
that's awesome.
Awesome. And I know we're ending this. I'm going to put you on the spot. One sentence, the last step. One sentence. What advice? I know he said you don't give advice, but he's going to have to now. What advice would you give to other men who are about to be fathers? Jake, what would you say?
It's going to sound like a broken record, but pray hard and trust God.
Awesome. Scott,
I'd have to second that, and I'd also like to say, take a deep breath, just breathe. You know, just breathe, and then before you react.
I would say this, and it's becoming more and more aware, and I wish that I could have trusted in this earlier.
Yeah.
Okay, and that is that God has a plan for our lives, for your life, our lives. Mm-hmm. And as you look back, you can see how all the dots they do connect.
Amen.
Somehow,
Absolutely.
some way,
Absolutely.
They all connect. You can't see it going forward, but there is an organizing force, which I say it's God, the Holy Spirit, that He has worked on that. And if we, I'm talking about me and all of us, if we can just do our best not to sabotage what's going on here and work with it instead of working against it, which is again, I am saying I wish I'd been able to come to this understanding earlier in life, and I'm more trusting of that now. That even though we don't know where we're going, just like Abraham was called out and sent to a place that he didn't know how to get there, he didn't know where it was, he didn't know anything about it, but he just had the promise that it was going to be good, and just go. Man, when I first realized that and heard that story, I thought, man, there's no way I could do that. Okay, I'm not wired that way. But you know what? We still all do that, right? Yeah. That's life. Yeah. And we don't know where it's going, and we just really, as you guys said, I know this. It's kind of like a cliche. It's trusting God, but man, I found out that trusting God sometimes is the hardest work there is, but it's the best work.